afternoon, depending on where you are. Um, Little update on Max. I'm doing a Halloween patrol this year, and first time since I say September, this thing has moved. Um, I've got a temporary battery charger set up right now. I'm gonna drill a hole here later today and put an actual plug here so I can keep these bloody things charged. Other than that, they were still holding charge, so must be doing something right. But yeah, if anybody has the Canadian Tire Eliminator style battery charger, much like these guys, I want one. Or actually, I want two of these. Canadian Tire doesn't sell these ones. They have a listing for them, but they're out of stock. I want two more. I want to modify them so they're like this. So they're short and stubby, and I can put them on that board. Right now I've got one of these. This one's dead. It won't run. I gotta pull this one apart and see if there's a fuse inside of it. This one won't charge. It shows the battery, but it won't charge. But I got one stuffed in behind there, sitting on that power bar, and right now I've got it plugged in, and I've got this cheapy one there. It's not even running at 2 amp. It's running at like less than an amp. But anyway, I'm basically done with this. I've still got to do updates for the firmware to do the volts and whatnot. That's coming later in a firmware update. But if I go strobes and I go fronts, come on, I get my front strobes, which also do my back, front on the, come on, focus, the front on the rack, and it also does the back on the rack. So there's some right there. So, and then I turn that one off, turn this one on. I get just my sides, all along my sides. Turn that one off, turn this one on. I get running board ones. There's 3 of them facing down, so hopefully it will flash off nicely at night. And then I have one for back in case I want to change the front and back as separates, or no, sorry, if I want to change the rack to be separate. So I have it wired so this one and that one will actually be run on its own relays for the rack. But right now I have it set up so that it's running front and rear on the rack, and sides is the rack and down below as well. So those would be separate. Then I have pattern changes, and then I have the sync buttons. So I can link, I think this was 15 of those lights together. I have 18. So there's a little discrepancy. But every time I link these together, they just go solid. So I have to figure out why it's doing that. But the pattern changes do change. So if I change it for front and rear, if I turn on the front, I can change its pattern separately, individually to each one of them. Then if I go back and go light bars, actually go back, all my strobes are off. Yeah, all the strobes are off. Alright, so if I go light bars here, if I go front, I get the 2 front ones there. If I go left side, obviously you get the left side one, it'll blind you. Same thing with the right cargo. The cargo one is, yeah, that one. So it'll light up when you're working on stuff. And then I have grill one, which is kind of hard to see, but there's the grill one. And then if I really want, I can do all of them at the same time. So there's the side ones, the back one's on, the front ones are on. So there's all that. And then if I go back, boosting one, as you can read, I've got 3 batteries on board. Right now it will go accessories to main. So if I turn this one on, it'll kick a solenoid over and link my main battery with the secondary battery. So it runs, the solenoids are right there, which go off of, I think it's that stud, and they link the battery, the main one, so this one, this main, that's accessory, and then spare lives in behind here, behind this door. I don't have it hooked up yet. I have the alternator ready for it, and that's what this switch is for. But there's nothing attached beyond this switch. And then if I want to, so if I have this one off, or actually no, I have that one on, I can go front and rear plugs, which is that Anderson plug. Where is it? Back there. So that Anderson plug right there allows me to use my winch, and I've got one of those on the front too. So I just slide my winch into place and plug that into it, and I've got a wireless remote for it, and that's what that one does. So that's front and rear plugs, so you can hear the solenoid kick in, and then this one will link those 2 batteries together. So right now, that's what that will do. This is the manual override in case that doesn't work anymore. But that's what that switch does in there, is it runs these 3 switches, or solenoids. So I've got the winch control, accessory, and the 3rd battery, and it's on these controls. Because right now, I have a bundle wire floating around in here somewhere that's supposed to go over there, or is coming from there to here, but I don't have it hooked up yet. I just have the manual overrides set up. So this would be for the 3rd battery. For some reason the lights aren't coming on. They're supposed to be lit switches. But anyway, but yeah, these are main power. So when I put it in storage, I flick those off, batteries go dead, or turn off, and they don't have any draw on them. And yes, I do have that installed. So that's what that one does. But like I said, I don't have these ones hooked up yet. So if I go back again, go to air fuel or auxiliary fuel tank, I have a 208 liter tank. So I have a 30 second, a 60 second, and a fuel pump kick in if I want to override it. So if I go 30 seconds, it'll put 30 seconds up on the clock, and as soon as you hit go, it starts counting down. It'll open up the relay at that time and count 30 seconds and shut that off. That's not quite doing what it's supposed to be doing right now. It will continue on after the 30 seconds, and it actually won't kick that switch off. And I think it's just on the GUI side of it. I think the relay does work. So it does that for 60 seconds as well. Come on. So it puts 60 seconds on the clock, and then you hit fuel pump, and it'll start counting down. This is because the pump that I have pumps so fucking fast, it's 13 gallons per minute, that once it starts filling the main tank, my fuel gauge is so slow, it won't tell me when it's full, and it'll just rupture out of here. So I'm putting down here a solenoid that will stop it from doing that, and then eventually it will circulate back to the tank. That usually sits right here. And I have a hose there that goes straight down to the gas tank. I don't have all that set up just yet. I have some stuff I want to put in. The reason why I have 30 seconds and 60 seconds is I figured that 30 seconds is how long it takes to go from half to full before it shuts off, and 60 seconds is basically from dead empty to full. And 13 gallons per minute is bucking fast, and this truck will at least fill up. And if I need to a little after that, I can monitor it, because ADHD and everything else, I forgot that fuel pump was on one day, and it started pissing out the side of the truck when the fuel filler was here. So it was hemorrhaging outside and down the side of the truck and spraying people behind me. And one trucker tried to pull me over, well, and he succeeded, and told me that I'm leaking fuel, which I was hemorrhaging out the side of the truck. So I've lived and learned. So next on the list is onboard air. Come on. This turns on my little AC compressor. That is a air compressor. No, not an air compressor, an AC compressor that lives, where are you? Down there. Where are you? Come on, focus. Oh, believe me, it lives down there somewhere. And then it comes up to this razzmatazz. So these two lines here go down to the original air AC compressor that's going to convert it over to run air. Runs in the same fashion. I've made an air plenum to take hydraulic line. Not like I'm ever going to see the working pressure of one of these cables, but at least I know I can take 120 and it will survive. And these shouldn't blow apart or anything like that with the automotive heat and everything else, because they're made for forklifts. So that goes into a T, or a 90 comes in from this side. So you got your air filter, as cheesy as it is, goes in through an oiler, goes down to the compressor, comes back up on this line from the compressor, goes through an air dryer, takes the oil back out of it. So there's another container back there, goes down, goes through a check valve somewhere in the back here, and goes into a custom manifold that's made out of 1x1 steel, capped off and screwed to the wall. I can't find anything the way I wanted it, so I made my own. Eventually, that screen in there has a sensor that will tell me what the air pressure is, so I won't have to read what it is out here. And I also have a switch to kick in and kick out the AC compressor, or the air compressor now, for the magnetic clutch. So when it's below, I think it's 10 psi, it'll kick in, or 90, I think is what it is. And it shuts off at 120. So it's sitting right about that now. It's about 120. And it fills up goddamn fast. It's like 30 seconds. As soon as you turn it on, it's running. The next thing on the list is air horn. So right now I've got a firmware or software snafu somewhere in here. It looks like it's on, but if I actually turn it off, it turns it back on. So I actually have to turn it on, then turn it off to turn it on, if you understand what it is. So right now it's actually turned on. So I've got to look at the software I've made for it and do it. So like I said, the one compressor, or the air sensor, is this one, which is technically air tank. And then I'm going to have airbags eventually on board for this and possibly my trailer. So I want the pressure gauge for that too. And that will be on the bag side. I'm still trying to figure out the ins and outs of getting that to read, along with the voltages. That's why they're not set up yet. But that's for up and down the road. So like I said, the air ride up and down. And I'm going to try to have a automatic version. When I enable that, it'll turn that on. So that's down the road. So when the air horn is not enabled, so technically that's off, you hear just a normal horn. So then if you turn air horn on, holy Jesus, you get the full brunt of my anger. So that air horn sits right behind the grill. And it's rated for about 150 decibels. And that's at 120 at a short burst. So you can just imagine if I emptied the tank on you. And then the next one down the list is switches. So if I have extra things I want to add on that I don't have a spot for yet, or it's a temporary thing, I know basically these are all set up to do what they need to do on the outputs for the relays. So I can just hook it up, find out which one that it's on, and then hook that up to it. If I have extra shit that I want to put on. And then just settings. So screen dim. Oh, is it working? Yes, it is. So I can dim down if I am blind. And then I also have an auto dim set up here. It's not set correctly yet. I've got to have an input come in from my park lights that will tell it when it's kicked in. But I noticed there's a flaw with my truck. My park lights are always on. So when I turn the ignition on, since I don't have the little doodad up here that tells it that it's night or whatever, my park lights are always on. So my headlights are always on and everything else. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the auto dim when my park lights come on, because they're always on. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. But that's the touchscreen in a nutshell. And then my radio, which has nothing to do with it. Then I've got my cameras. So this is all on the truck right now. And I've also got another 4 on the camper. So I just switch it over and then it will work that way. And then I've got heated mirrors. I can choose my dome lights. So here I've got dual colors in the pieces here. I've got white and I've got red and blue, so I can choose between the 3. So if I want blue lights one day and I feel like that, whatever. If I have red lights, it's easier to see at night when you're bombing around and you don't want to blind yourself, you turn on the red ones. So for Halloween patrol, I'll probably end up using the red ones. If I can get them to turn on. There we go. Turn my ignition off. So I've got white, red, and then blue. And yeah, I know, cheap freaking Asian shit. One of the lights has gone out now. So, yeah. So there you go. That's what that is. And that's all controlled back here. So on the bottom side of this is one Arduino Mega. It's running there and running 32 relays. So 2 16 packs off of this guy, running like a hat type thing. You plug it in there and it gives you little screw terminals like all these ones. So then I know that I've got a good connection. So that's what's in there. And it's fused up the wazoo. So everything has got its own fuse now. That is a button that's right there. So I have a little key fob that I tap on the side of it and I can start it from there. Then I've got door locks, and then this is basically the flex capacitor that allows me to run these lights as a park and a signal with a single filament light. So I've got I think the 2 on the outer side, so the 3 in the center, and then there's 2 on the outside, and that's what runs the signal lights on those. On this one is the ghost module that runs off my phone, and then I've got my sneaky start switch under here. This is what controls that. Oh, no, sorry, that's my grill light. That's what pulses my grill light from red to blue. Well, red, at least anyway. So yeah, there's all that, and then underneath all this stuff, I can lift it up enough that you can see, is where all the connections are. So it's another pile of stuff. I'll have to throw some pictures up when it's off because it's all connected. There's 4 connectors here, and there's a whole whack of connectors along here. They've all got to be disconnected in order to lift this up far enough. That's why most of this stuff here, like I had to redesign this as a lid. So this now goes screwed on here and keeps all of my relays. So I can have another relay here and another one here. I might even put something like that in here and bring it up so you can't see that, and I can use that for something else. So that's basically the tour of the truck at the moment. In here I have amateur radio. So the cable goes in there, comes down to the connector here for the radio, the microphone. There is the microphone. Come on. Come on. Oh, right. Just move this shit out of the way. There. That's why I can't get it out, because the radio is plugged in. And then I've got my remote for my DVR. The cameras are in here, or my dash cam. So it records, and that's the dash cam, which is buried firmly in behind that radio. So this is just telling me that it's on and it's recording. So that's the remote for that. This is the remote for my winch. So I got another one in the garage, and then my radio remote. This cable here goes, well, actually the two beside each other, these two here actually go back here for programming when that's in there. So it was easier to get a laptop hooked onto that to talk to the Arduino. Then you know the radio, and I've got another room for one more if I wanted to. And then USB, I got two USBs that run up to the back of the radio. So right now I'm running music off of this guy, and yeah, it fits just snugly in behind here. And I've got a hole pushed in here now, so if I wanted to, I can plug in a phone charger to this one and then put it through, and have my phone sitting here, and then maybe I can play music through it or whatever. On the back side, I've got more 110 plugs, or I got two 110 plugs, two 12-volt plugs that run off the accessory battery, and a voltmeter to let me know what's going on with the accessory battery, because I also have an inverter sitting right there. It's an 1800 watt inverter. It's been stripped down. It's barely basically able to run with the amount of shit. So everything is remoted off of this plug for the 110. Goes down. I've still got to get it working. The cable that goes to the front, it should be sitting in that gaping hole there, is the controller for it. But the wire is not working for it right at the moment. So I don't know if it's completely dead now. It had some issues from work, and I ended up inheriting it. So maybe it's completely freaking dead now. I don't know. I don't know if it's the cable or the inverter, because like I said, there's no head on this thing, and I can't do the freaking thing from there. So I don't know. I just don't know the condition of this yet. But that's basically the nutshell. That's Max in a nutshell right now. And I've been doing shop upgrades as well. So that's where I've been. Trying to get him ready, and then everything else. So, yeah. Got new network in there. Got new power going in along the side here. So, where is it? Some new electrical boxes right there. Along the back of the wall here. So there's one there, there's another one behind there, and then there's more machine. So I'm trying to get something for this at the moment. So I'm running two screens now, but that machine right there is not fast enough to run the thing very well. But that's what this is entailing. So today I'm just getting this thing ready for Halloween Patrol and working out some of the bugs. So I've got one bug so far, and it's minor one. I can live with it for the day. I don't have to work on it too much, and I don't think I'm going to be using the air horn to scare the shit out of the kids anyway. But I want the lights to work, because if I go down the back alley, I want the side ones working. So then I've got to get the GPS amateur radio thing that we're going to use as well, working on the radio. So that's where I'm at today. So, like I said, Max is alive and running for the first time in 4 years. I can actually use it for its more or less intended purpose. There's a lot of things on this truck that were intended for another purpose that were no longer needed, i.e., the amount of batteries I have was to help as a service truck for my late husband's work truck. In the winter, a lot of times the batteries would go dead because we couldn't plug it in, and they would go dead and we'd have to boost it. This thing, its brother, it's the 99 version to this, would come to the rescue. It had 4 batteries in it, 3 alternators, and it would just go out there and start it up, no problem. But this is the late predecessor to it, and I got this truck after he passed, and I just kept all the stuff and just threw it into this truck. As I see, the rest of the stuff is further stuff, so it is what it is. It does what it needs. I plate this thing once or twice a year, just on a temporary plate, drive it for what I need to do, and then it just sits the rest of the time. So, yeah. Oh, and later on, I'm going to be painting this thing probably a nice blue. I'm going to try to do blue along the sides here with a Silverado decal of some sort, along the doors. So everything from the roof to the floor is going to be blue, and it's going to have a black. Use this black basically as the background of the decal, and I'm going to paint everything else blue. So everything from this line down is going to be blue, I think. So yeah, with all that done, that's it for today. So I'm going to let you off, and I'll get back to getting this thing ready for Monday. And I'll catch you on the next one. Check you later. Don't forget, like and subscribe.